let's get to this UFC Fight Night because I think a friend of ours said, this is one title fight away from this could have been a pay-per-view.
Yeah, this could be legitimate pay-per-view card. Maybe not the highest level, not this Kobe Covington, Leon Edwards card. I would certainly pay for this UFC Fight Night before I would have paid for that PFL season championship. I'll tell you that. Let's get into it. We're going to go through the whole card today, the whole main card, but on the prelims, shout out to Miesha Tate, Clay Guida, a couple of old school vets getting in there. So good luck to them. But main card, Punahele Soriano versus Dustin Stolfus.
All right, both these guys probably need a win. Punahele is 9-3, 6 KOs, 2 subs, 1 decisions. He's 3-3 in the UFC. Dustin is 14-5, 2 KOs, 5 decisions, 6 subs, 1 disqualification. He's 1-4 in the UFC. So both these guys are probably back to back, they need this win. The gentleman, Poliano, whose name I struggle with, I think he's had a little more luck in the UFC, and I think that I'm just going to pick him by decision. I'm not really sure why or who, honestly, with this one. Maybe you can give me some insight because I just, I don't see how this is going to go down, honestly.
Yeah, Punahele relies so much on landing like 1 or 2 big hooks that it doesn't really seem to set up very well. But Dustin's in a similar position, having lost 4 of his 5 UFC fights. I would imagine whoever loses gets cut after this. So I expect a very high intensity and top level performances from both guys. I think we're going to see them at their best. They know they're on the chopping block. So I'm going to give Punahele the edge because I think Dustin is going to open himself up to getting tagged later on in the fight because he needs to push for a win. It can't be a boring decision. I think they really need to push for a win. I'm going to go 3rd round TKO for Soriano.
Okay. I hope you're right.
Sean Brady versus Kelvin Gastelum.
All right. Sean Brady, 15-1, 3 KOs, 4 subs, 8 decisions. He's 5-1 in the UFC, but he's coming off his first loss to Bilal Muhammad. No shame in that, but it is his first loss, so we'll see how he deals with that. Kelvin Gastelum, this guy's been around a while now. 17-8-1, 6 KOs, 4 subs, 7 decisions. He's 12-8-1 in the UFC. He's had fight of the night 5 times, performance of the night 3 times. The thing is, he's really game. Kelvin is a guy who gave Israel Adesanya his toughest fight before, Sean Strickland or Pereira was around. What's interesting is now we're doing this at welterweight. Kelvin has done most of his career at middleweight with a few exception fights at welterweight, but he always struggled making weight. And now he seems disciplined and ready to do this. Now, is this, maybe this should have been done earlier in his career? Now we're getting later in his career. We're going to find out. Tough fight to actually predict. Just because Sean Brady has had so much success at this weight class, and Kelvin is relatively new to this weight class, and he's getting older. But Kelvin hangs out with guys like Henry Cejudo's, winners, and people who know how to win, and he's had a lot of experience in the UFC. I tend to lean towards the people who normally fight at their own weight class in these fights. We just saw what happened with Paul Craig a couple weeks ago. But I don't know. I'm feeling like Kelvin Gastelum will get this done somehow. I'm going to say it's a dogfight, but he's going to choke him out in round 2.
Really? He's going to choke out Sean Brady? So Sean looked like a contender before that loss to Bilal. I respect his excellent ground game, but honestly, if Bilal was able to stop him on the feet, which he did, Bilal's not really known for his striking. Kelvin is. He has excellent boxing. He should stop him pretty easily, I think. Kelvin really should have been a welterweight his entire career. Like you mentioned, just maybe a discipline issue before, but he does seem in his last, few interviews in the lead up in his last fight, he looked like a world beater again. So he seems very focused. And I like a focused Kelvin Gastelum. I think he's going to get a round 2 TKO after stuffing a few takedowns. And I think if he stays active, he could be champ next year. He is really that talented.
I do want to clarify what I meant, I should say. When I say he's going to choke him out, I think he's going to rock Sean Brady. And then he's going to do a rear naked choke. That's my prediction anyway. Let's just say.
Another super fun fight. Looking forward to this one. Rob Font is welcoming Davison Figueiredo to bantamweight.
Yes. And I'm going to have to look some stuff up here because I forgot to put Davidson's record here. But Rob Font 20-7, 9 KOs, 4 subs, 7 decisions. He's lost 3 out of his last 4. Now he was injured, but if you look at those 3, it's Marlon Vera, Jose Aldo, Corey Sandhagen, and all by decision. So Rob is one of those guys. He's always near the top. He's just on the outside of like that top 5. It always feels like 10-6 in the UFC. Davidson Figueiredo, I don't have his stats, but
I have his stats. He's 21-3, 9 KOs, 8 submissions, 4 decisions.
Okay, I was gonna say I don't even really need this guy's stats. This guy was the best, one of the best flyweights of all time. All right, I mean he's probably in the top 3. I would say we're gonna see how Pantasia does as time goes on. He might be number 4, but I mean I think Mighty Mouse, all right, Brandon Moreno, and Davidson because that lengthy rivalry they had where they had 4 fights.
What about Cejudo? You're not going to put Cejudo in there?
I always kind of forget about Cejudo because he won the title and then went to bantamweight right away. But anyway, my point is Davidson's one of the best at that division. But like you said, now we're going to go to the bantamweight division. So this is a completely different animal. Much kind of like our last fight, right? We're going to see how somebody reacts in a different weight class. But Davidson's going up. And it's an interesting fight. I think Davidson could be a real problem for some of these people at bantamweight. But there is that size. So I say all that and say he could be a problem. And I'm picking Rob Font by decision. I think it's going to be fireworks, though. This is not going to be a boring decision. I think this will be fireworks all 3 rounds.
Yeah, incredibly interesting fights. Like you were saying, lots of questions with Figueiredo moving up. We know he had that hard time with the 125 cut, so 135. Even though he is a small guy, he's very dense, so probably his natural weight class. But bantamweight is one of the best weight classes in the promotion for sure. Super stacked, and he's fighting a top 10 guy right away. The weight cut issues moving up, and plus the fact that we've only seen him versus Moreno in the last 3 years. We haven't really seen him against much. Moreno has a specific, although he's well-rounded, he has a specific style that maybe matchup-wise was Figueiredo's kryptonite, I mean. So Rob Font's going to offer a different problem for him to solve. Excellent boxing. Rob's been on hard times. I think he's primed and ready to get back on track because he is a great fighter. And I think this is the perfect matchup for him. Figueiredo, not super interested in grappling. He will take it down there. He has skills, but he would much rather stay on the feet. And that's the same with Rob. He would much rather stay on the feet. He has massive hands for the division. He hits very hard. Excellent boxing skills. So I think I'm going to go with Rob also. I'm going to go with him by decision. I don't think he finishes Figueiredo, but I think we're going to see a good fight, but I'm going to pick Rob by decision.
I think we're on the same page with that one. Co-main event, man.
Jalen Turner versus Bobby Green.
Turner taking this fight on short notice, too, should point out, for Dan Hooker. Turner's 13-7, 9 KOs, 4 subs. He's got 2 losses in a row. One is to Gamrot, and one is to Dan Hooker, who he took this fight for. Both were split decision losses. Mm-hmm. So, 2 very talented fighters that he lost close fights to. In the case with Hooker, I think Hooker really needed that win, so he was very motivated. He's 6-4 in the UFC, but before those 2 close losses, Turner was on a 5-fight win streak. I got to think he's really hungry to get back in there. He's a dynamic fighter. But Bobby Green, 31-14-1, 11 KOs, 9 subs, 11 decisions. This guy's had a submission in the night because he's been around that long. Performance of the night 3 times. Most significant strikes in UFC lightweight division history. Fight of the night 4 times. Like, Green is just an all-action, exciting fighter. And maybe even to his downfall sometimes. Like, maybe he could be a little more technical, but he doesn't want to be a boring fighter. He wants to be an exciting fighter. I think he's had some of his best fights in recent memory in the last year. He's had a few tough losses. He's not a guy that seems like he's going to break into that top 5, but he's always having great, exciting fights. This is a tough one because I feel like stylistically, they're going to play into each other's hands. They're going to light each other up. Man, this is a tough one for me. I'm going to go with Bobby Green because Turner's taking this on short notice. I'll say Turner maybe even gasses out by round 3 and Bobby gets a finish.
Yeah, it's not a bad shout, but I really, really wanted to see the Hooker versus Green fight, but this is still an excellent matchup. So, I'm not bummed out by this at all. So I actually think it's a bit tougher of a matchup for Bobby, though, stylistically. Jalen won't just go to war like Dan would. He's going to use his reach and his front kick to touch up Bobby while staying out of range of Bobby's great counters. He likes to shoulder roll, keep his hands down, and come back with counters. But Jalen's so tall, so long, and he uses his range very well. I think he's going to be outside of the range for those counters. And if he does get in close, he has very underrated grappling too. So if he gets in close, he can tie up Bobby, maybe land an elbow on the break and get back to that long range. But if Bobby does land on him, he can finish him. Jalen has been hurt before. Bobby's a hard puncher, very accurate, very fast. He hits you from angles where you don't see it coming, and those are the ones that knock people out. So I'm not sleeping on Bobby, but I am going to pick Jalen by decision, and I think is a more likely scenario the way it plays out. Like you were saying, his cardio better be on point because statistically, I think the guy who takes it on short notice, not great chances. Main event, I've been excited for this one for a while since this got excited. So Beneil Dariush versus Arman Tsarukyan.
Arman Tsarukyan, he is 20-3, 8 KOs, 5 subs, 7 decisions. This guy lost his debut fight to Islam Makhachev, all right, in a fight of the night. Okay, that's about as tough as it gets to make your debut. His only other loss was to Gamrot, all right, and both those were fight of the nights. Performance of the night twice. He is the real deal. And Dariush, 22-5-1, 5 KOs, 8 subs, 9 decisions. He's won 8 out of his last 9. Before that recent loss, he hadn't lost to 2018. His performance of the night 4 times, fight of the night once, and tied Gleison Tibau for a third most wins in UFC lightweight division history. Interesting fight. Dariush was a guy who was pretty much almost there for a title shot. Arman is no slouch. This is not an easy road here for him. This is a tough fight to pick. I'm going to lean Dariush. I'll say he gets him late, 4th round submission, much like Gaston. I think he will catch him on his feet and then maybe get a choke in or something.
Yeah, Beneil doesn't always fight to his full potential. He can be drawn into wars and then get caught and lose. I think he knows that now. He's older. He's matured. He needs to be at his best to be a relatively unknown Arman Tsarukyan. I think that Arman is a dark horse in the division for sure. This is a big step up in competition. Yes, he's fought Islam and he's fought Gamrot, but those are his 2 losses. The other guys he's beat are nowhere near the level of a Dariush. Arman only loses to the top level guys that can nullify his grappling. And guess what? Dariush is among the best Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belts in the world. So at least in MMA for sure. I'm a fan of both guys. I'm pulling for Dariush at this point in his career, though, because it is so much later in his career. And he did put together that great run and then ended up getting stopped by Charles Oliveira. So I'm pulling for Dariush and I'm going to pick him. I'm going to say round 3 sub. I think Arman can get tired out a little bit and Dariush will put pressure on him. I think he tires him out and catches him in the 3rd with a sub.
Should be a fun fight card. 7 p.m. start, right, for the main card?
That's right. 4 p.m. for prelims, 7 p.m. for the main card.